Okay, so here we are in the autumn of 1759, and as we've noted, Austria's really rolling along. They look very, very powerful. They've wiped Prussia's army out. They have this huge stack sitting here in Vienna, ready to start grabbing Prussian territory. But what can they really take? They can certainly take Bohemia back, but they're not going to be able to get to Saxony. So I don't know how big a swing they're going to make now before the next year comes into place. As this goes, though, it's pretty clear that they are right now the militarily most powerful in Europe. But you got countries like France who, if they divert their Spanish expedition, could probably come close to matching them. And you know, if they get their extra builds in, we'll be in pretty good shape. One of the advantages Austria has is all these allies, Bavaria, Saxony, Poland. They give them a lot of military power. Of course, you also have the Russians, who are doing quite well on victory points comparatively. They have 5 points. And if you look at the victory conditions here, Russia, Holland, and Turkey only need 10, whereas Austria needs 15, as did Spain. And Britain and France need 20. So Russia's a lot closer to the automatic victory than Austria is, but Austria is much more frightening militarily, is the only point that I'm making. Austria may want to be stepping in to attack Russia very soon, because if they're not careful, Russia may be able to feather their nest and make themselves the masters of all this Turkish territory. They've got a big hunk of it already. So, anyway, that all said, and I think we've heard that before, slapped some new troops down, got some repairs in place, and now we've got the order, and Prussia chose to go first, so that because their ally Britain is going last, Prussia has nothing on the board, so they might as well give Britain the option to move first if they wish to. It was kind of an agreement between the two to do that. We'll see what happens here. I don't really foresee England being able to make a lot of ground, though. They've got this big French army, which may end up stabbing the Austrians with the Netherlands, for example. That would be a big bonus for France and take some serious points away from the Austrians without a lot of risk involved. Of course, France does that. They have no allies anymore. All they could do is ally with Prussia well, they could ally with Spain as well, but out of the great Austrian-Prussian war, all they can do is ally with Prussia. Now, here's what goes weird. They can't ally with Prussia as long as Britain's allied with Prussia, so Prussia would have to declare their British alliance void. If that happened, what would you get? Would Britain just stand aside and allow France to attack Austria, or would they at least continue fighting the French, even if they're not going to support the Austrians terribly much? On the other hand, France could just move against England and ignore the Austrian problem, maybe let the Spanish try to take the Netherlands. I don't know. There's a lot of options open, a lot of flexibility, even though there are those restrictions. Okay, we'll get on with the latter half of the year now. Well, here we are, halfway through the fall term. Half the players have gone, albeit maybe the less active for the most part, other than France. Prussia did nothing. England didn't choose to do anything during it. The French advanced into Granada and began sieging it. They only got 1 point on it. They also attacked Hesse, which is currently resisting them. They only paid for 1 attack against the troops themselves, and they failed. So now they're kind of at war with Hesse. Where else are we? I forgot to attack there. Let's do this siege down here that I didn't remember. Only 1 defending unit, which can't hurt them. No reason to roll the dice. They didn't get anywhere with it. Okay. But they're pushing their attack on Spain, which I think their decision is, look, I want to pad my own nest. Spain being a power doesn't really help me that much. If they ally with me while I hold most of their territory, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. It's a pity that I won't have the Spanish fleet to support me against the English, but whatever, you know. That may drive Spain towards England, for whatever that's worth. But both France and Holland have a definite interest in opposing Spain then, because Holland is holding a piece of it. And also Holland can't be at peace with the Spaniards, so that may drive Spain and or France and Holland together. We'll see. Going to Holland, they didn't do anything with their force in Spain. They did make another siege down here in Sumatra. They didn't get anywhere with that. And what else? The Turks. The Turks spread out of Macedonia. This means they probably will lose it, but they put their troops into areas where they can support them come the winter. Things look pretty hapless for them. Alright, on to the back half. And that's pretty much the end of the line. Let's see. The Spaniards did almost nothing. They recruited some Swiss who attacked Piedmont and didn't get anywhere there. Russia took Macedonia. It took a lot of rolls, but they eventually got it. Austria took Bohemia. They also spread out into the Tyrol and up in the north into Berlin. The English, the French, had actually moved them here, I think, on their turn, or sitting in Magdeburg, for whatever value that is. The whatever up here, Bengal finally fell. The Dutch pirate fleet here that was supporting whatever wealth they got out of India was killed by a scurvy card. And the English went and took Cherokee, which puts them almost even. Right now, though, our big lead is the Russians with 6 victory points. Above that, Austria's at 4. That seems low. They haven't lost anything. I'd say they're higher than 4. It looks to me like they're at 7, because they have not lost any territories. So they're 8 away from their victory condition. The French are at 8, but they're 12 away from theirs. And I guess we move into the winter phase, and we'll start seeing, well, we do all that annoying bookkeeping stuff and the attrition, and then we'll see what the diplomatic fallout is from all that. Okay, after maintenance costs, the French probably suffered the worst on this. They were expecting to have Hesse and ended up having to play the card they were going to protect their Granada forces with, and they were expecting to have that too, and they took quite a few losses actually. Nobody else really took any losses, I think. Well, yeah, no, due to attrition. However, we see the Crimeans have entered the war against Russia, and they're entered on Turkey's side, which is quite likely. They have like a +3 bonus there. Russia had no money to prevent this. That may help. I mean, it certainly will help the Turks. It may be enough to help swing this war, at least to the point where the Russians will be in trouble. It's hard to tell, though. I mean, that makes it less likely that Austria will move against them. Sweden did a flip-flop over the fall. They left Russia due to a breach of royal marriage or something. But then the Russians got them back on a lucky die roll, so, you know, whatever. Alright, on to all the money stuff. Okay, so after the maintenance costs, we can see a few things. Spain out of manpower and losing units due to it. Turkey, same position. England out of manpower, but just barely. They were able to maintain everything. They didn't take any losses. Other people who are low, of course, Holland is low on manpower. They're hoping to buy some off Russia with money. Prussia, we knew Prussia's in trouble, even though they have no troops on the board. They still only have 6 manpower to build their stuff with. And manpower seems to be a shortage right now, which makes countries like Russia and maybe Turkey very, very interesting to other people. Austria is very healthy here with both money and manpower, although they have more manpower than money, of course. France, same kind of situation, although not as healthy in terms of either, really, as the Austrians are. So at this point, countries are probably going to be looking to say, hey, can I sell you some mercenaries, you know? We're going to go into the diplomacy phase. I've been doing that first. I've got enough time on this video. I think I'm going to cover it in this one and then go on to the next. But we're definitely seeing costs here with the Spanish armies just disintegrating here in North America especially. They want to keep their navy alive because that's the only way they can get any support in. Right now, they have almost nothing in Europe left. They're lucky to have those Swiss mercenaries. Just as the English are lucky, they picked up the Holy Roman Empire mercenaries back here. They can try to use for some extra troops for now. Alright, well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting, I think. Okay, so diplomacy's done. And England can't ally with Spain. That's one of the restricted things. France doesn't want to. This is where France's points are coming from, and unless they got to keep some of what they were getting, well, all of what they were getting, really, they just aren't thrilled with it. They also don't want to break their alliance with Austria yet, if at all. So the only deal that was cut that was new, the Russians and Dutch kept their deal, which was $6 for 2 manpower. Russia wasn't able to find anything better, and frankly, the Dutch said, you know, if somebody's going to stop Russia, it ain't us, and we're willing to help them. They may end up paying for this with someone attacking them, but we'll see. However, the Spanish and the Turks got a deal. Now, this doesn't really help Spain much. Spain got 2 manpower for it, but they gave $10 to the Turks, which is going to help hurt the Russians. The Spanish are just basically, we're unable to find anyone willing to help them. England perhaps could have been convinced if it weren't for the restriction. Now, if you think that the power politics of this day would have allowed England and France to both be at war, and for France to have invaded and taken what they've taken in Spain, right? Without England being willing to support Spain, that's ridiculous. So there's definitely an issue here. England, I think some of the alliance backings are just unreasonable. Or prohibitions. And, you know, I'm not saying it should be a free version, but there definitely was a power politics and a balance of power type relationship here. England was absolutely unwilling to allow the balance of power in Europe to fall really into anyone's hands. And most specifically, the one thing that they did not want was for the major power in Europe to be holding the area around the Rhine, the influx of the Rhine. Which is to say, that was their main objection with France, their main worry with France is that. But if they could take France down at this point, I think they probably would do so. With France in the lead power-wise, other than Russia, and I can't imagine the British actually being too concerned with Russia. Other than France was their main enemy on the field. They were consistently forming alliances against France from, you know, really the era of Louis XIV onward until after Napoleon, and perhaps well after Napoleon. In fact, definitely well after Napoleon. So, it seems very, very unlikely that England and Spain had such irreconcilable differences because there happens to be a Bourbon on the throne when France is allowed to invade Spain to this degree. I just can't accept it. Anyway, to the cheerful tune of tons of steel tubes being dropped, I'm going to send this one up.